Okay, I take it that we're live. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to another Tuesday session with Healthy Hearts. So, in today's session, sorry that we started a bit late, we're a few minutes late. Sorry about that. In today's session, we have, I'm sure a couple of people here are familiar with Dr. Keiron. So he's here again today to discuss a very interesting topic with us. And I personally always look forward to his topics because they're very, very interesting and quite knowledgeable. So in today's session, Dr. Keiron is going to be walking us through the link between our diets and cataracts. So it's dietary links to cataracts, the silent threat to vision. Please pop all your questions into the chat box, or you can unmute your mic and ask your questions as we go on. If you're online from YouTube, LinkedIn, you can always send us your questions in, and Dr. Keiron will answer those questions for you. Thank you. So over to you, Dr. Keiron.
Thanks very much, Sylvia. So today I'm going to just quickly go through cataracts in terms of what they are, some of the main cause, some of the symptoms, and also the dietary links. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. I'm actually going to, because my internet connection is a bit unstable, so I'm going to switch my camera off. That's all right. Can you see?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So very quickly before we start, I wanted to take a look at this picture here and tell me if you notice anything in particular about this image.
Yeah. Well, I'll leave it to the audience to ask, but I've made a few, I've noticed a couple of things. Has anyone noticed anything in this image? And can you tell us what you've noticed?
May not be too obvious.
Okay.
Yeah, so what
Anyone?
it is.
So I think I can see that it's sort of with the older people, like the elderly,
Yeah.
and they've got their eyes are shaped in a certain way.
Well, yeah, that might be because of the image itself, but
Because of the image itself, okay. But yeah, I can see elderly, and then the sign there that says eye health matters. That's also important. So I think that's two things I could pick out.
yeah, so you do see a lot of senior elderly people here. You do see some men here, but what I wanted to point out is that the majority of people in the room are actually women. So what I wanted that to represent is the fact that women are significantly more likely to develop cataracts compared to men. So
Okay.
there's a slide here that I'll give an explanation as to why that is as well. Right, so this image here, it shows this what a cataracts actually look like. So you see that cloudiness there in the left eye. That's the telltale sign of a person with cataracts, the cloudiness of the eye lens, otherwise known as opacification. This is when the lens becomes opaque and the vision becomes blurred. So that cloudiness itself, it leads to blurred vision, and it gradually worsens over time and eventually leads to blindness.
So okay, we're going ahead because I was going to ask you what exactly causes that blurred vision, this white blurriness that we're seeing here.
Right, so I'm gonna go into that. But before I do, I just wanted to share this interesting fact that I found out. So I didn't really notice much of a difference in terms of prevalence of cataracts, in terms of difference between ethnic populations. But what I did come across is that there's a difference in the type of cataracts that you see between European and African people. So in European people, you tend to see what they call nuclear opacity, which is where the center of the lens itself becomes affected and it gets a bit yellowish brown and it progresses a lot slower and more gradual over time compared to the cataract that you find in African people. And it leads to symptoms like nearsightedness. So it affects the ability to see further.
Mm.
Whereas in African people, people of African descent, you tend to see what they call cortical opacity, which is what affects the outer layer of the lens. So it can look like white streaks, kind of like spokes on a wheel. And this type of cataracts tend to progress a lot quicker and it can
Wow.
start affecting vision even in the early stages. So you tend to find that these people will be more sensitive to light and yeah, more sensitive to light and glare as opposed to experiencing nearsightedness. So I thought that was an interesting difference between the two ethnic groups in terms of the type of
What
cataracts.
type of cataracts? Okay. But is it possible that they can both swap? Like, can the black ethnic group have the cataracts that the other ethnic groups have?
It is possible, yes, it is possible. But in terms of prevalence, this is where you tend to see more of one type compared
Right.
to the other. Yeah, it's a range of different factors that could contribute in terms of genetics as well as environment, access to healthcare.
Mm.
So these different factors play a role in what you see.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so in terms of prevalence, well, this is mainly an age-related disease. So roughly about 30% of people over 65 are believed to have some form of cataracts in either one or both of their eyes. And it increases even more as you get older, reaching about 71% in people over 85 years. So in England alone, there were like over 500,000 admissions for cataract surgery between April 2023 and March 2024. So over that 12-year period. And it's actually noted that in terms of eye diseases in general, Black and South Asian populations tend to have higher rates, but I haven't found any specific reports on a higher cataracts prevalence by ethnicity. And that again could be of a lot of different reasons. Okay, so to answer your question now, I can go to some of the causes of cataracts. So as I mentioned, this is like a what they consider degenerative disease. So it mainly associated with aging. There's some people that even think it's a natural part of getting older, but it is
Mm.
possible to avoid it.
Okay.
Right.
I'm part of those some people actually. Like I growing up, I always just assumed that it's one of the things you probably will have to get when you get older, especially with people who already have eye issues and use glasses and things like that.
Yeah, I also thought that as well. I mean, my granny, she developed some form of cataracts, and we've all thought it was, just part of getting older, but it is actually avoidable, especially if you start paying attention to it from earlier on in life. So
Hmm.
the main process behind cataracts is actually oxidative stress.
Hmm.
So if you recall, think I've defined oxidative stress a few times last time I was here. But it's essentially just when you have a bunch of unstable free radicals in your body, and these free radicals, they make proteins and fats unstable. So they remove electrons from proteins and fats, causing them to break down, lose their ability to function as they should. So this is what happens in the eye itself. So it has there's a protein in the eye that gets damaged. That protein is called crystallins. It's a protein that actually helps the islands to remain transparent. So as that protein itself becomes damaged, they all start to clump together. And it's this clumping together that causes the cloudiness, what they call the opacification.
Right.
So that's what you see in the picture that I showed you in the eye that's affected by cataract. It's literally just a bunch of these crystalline proteins clumped together and they start giving you that cloudy appearance and then they block the vision itself. So antioxidants is probably the main nutrients in the diet that can help to reduce this oxidative stress. So I'm gonna go and right. So as I mentioned, in terms of the symptoms, one of the first symptoms that you would see would or experience a person with cataract would experience would be the blurry vision and also the sensitivity to glare, so increased sensitivity to light, especially bright light, and then also colors. So colors may appear to be less vibrant, even harder to distinguish. So things start looking a bit gray,
Right.
right? You might see someone say that everything just looks like black and white. So that's in the advanced stages. Then as the cataracts progress, it increasingly starts to obscure vision. So they start seeing less and less. And this can, as you would expect, it can have a serious impact on a person's independence, right? So they can, lose the ability to complete just their everyday tasks, things like reading, driving, can be a lot more challenging with somebody experiencing cataract. So it's essentially a debilitating disease.
Okay, so Dr. Keiron, you know how we were talking about the causes of cataract and we're saying what we believe and things like that. So we've got one in the chat box. So Martha's saying that she's led to believe that cataract starts to form from childhood, particularly when young children don't wear like sunglasses or hats to shield their eyes from the sun. Do you think do you think that can be a possibility, or does that contribute to the cause?
Well, yeah, there's exposure to sunlight is definitely a risk factor because that can also promote oxidative stress in that
Mm,
itself. So exposure to UV light, it's absolutely a risk factor. So it can start to exhibit from possibly not too early, but from a younger age, yes, it can definitely.
okay. Okay then. Thank you.
So yeah, that's actually what I was going to cover on my next slide. Look at some of the risk factors.
Right.
Aging is the prime cause or the prime risk factor, but also literally anything that causes oxidative stress is going to increase the risks of cataracts. So from your smoking, exposure to UV light, right? Consuming excess fried foods, even certain medical conditions as well, like diabetes. So I'm actually going to share another interesting fact when it comes to diabetes. So diabetes is actually one disease in particular that is linked to an increased risk of cataracts. So it's actually linked to like people with diabetes are actually considerably more likely. So the research is showing that they're about 2 to 5 times more likely to develop cataracts compared to somebody without diabetes. The main connection seems to be having prolonged periods of high blood sugar or hyperglycemia. So not necessarily like random spikes in sugar, but for prolonged periods of time, just having high blood sugar levels. So when it's high for a long time, there's these chemical reactions that are taking place that could actually form cataracts. So firstly, it can actually cause the lens itself to swell. So the high blood sugar levels that accumulate in the fluid in the front part of the eye, they can cause the lens to swell, and that can lead to blurred vision. Then also the diabetes can damage the proteins in the lens. That can also contribute to more clumping together and forming cataracts. That's made even worse by oxidative stress. So the combination of the two can actually accelerate the clumping of the proteins and the causing of that cloudiness.
Okay.
Yeah, and then even as well, there's these formation of what they call advanced glycation end products. These also build up in the lens. So I won't go into too much, but essentially this is where sugar and proteins combine together to form these products. They call them AGEs. And these build up in the lens as well, causing it to become a lot more cloudy. Then you have your typical culprit here, inflammation. So inflammation is very common in diabetes patients. That can also contribute as well to cataract formation. And then affecting the blood vessels. So diabetes damages blood vessels throughout the body, so including the eyes as well. So that can also increase your risk of cataracts and other eye diseases as well, like glaucoma.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your link between your diabetes and cataracts. So these diseases kind of work together in a way to just exacerbate each other. So this is what you would call your your comorbidities. Okay, so now I just wanted to go into the dietary aspect. So this is some good news for vegans. So there's a lot of research that shows that the less meat that you eat, the lower your risks of developing cataracts. And it actually progresses. So like there's a progressive decrease in risk compared from high meat eaters to actual vegans. So there's actually a study that measured it, and they presented information on the incidence rate ratio. So as you see here, it moderately decreases, gradually decreases from your moderate meat consumers at 0.96, and then this gradually decreases with the less meat that you eat. So you have your low meat, fish eaters, vegetarians, and right at the bottom are vegans. So vegans actually exhibit the lowest risks. It's actually estimated to be about 40% lower than that of meat eaters. Now, this is not necessarily just strictly due to the absence of meat. It's more about the fact that a vegan diet tends to have a lot more antioxidant, anti-inflammatory foods, nutrient-dense foods, less saturated fats. So it's more about the presence of your fruits and your vegetables in more consumed in more abundance. So if you're a vegan that still eats a lot of processed foods, a lot of sugar, a lot of refined grains, you may not necessarily see the benefit of the full vegan diet. So it actually needs to be a more plant-based whole food diet as opposed to just not eating meat.
Not eating meat, yeah, because I was going to ask actually that is it the meat? Is there something in the meat that's affecting that? But yeah, you've explained that because vegetables tend and fruits tend to have more antioxidants in them. Okay, anti-inflammatory properties. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily about the meat, it's just about the balance in terms of the increase in the antioxidant rich foods.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So getting back to the very first slide where I mentioned the link between cataracts and gender. So there are some differences that have been observed between men and women when it comes to cataracts. So first, I'll look at the nutritional differences. So in terms of nutrient associations, there have been some observations, some studies that have been done that show that having a higher intake of vitamin B1 is linked to a lower risk of cataracts in women, but not in men. And then contrastly, a higher intake of vitamin B2 is associated with a lower risk in men, but not in women. And then in terms of the other antioxidants, like a vitamin C, lutein, omega-3 fats, they have linked to a reduced risk in both genders. So there's not quite sure what the mechanism behind this is. This is something that has just been observed. So I think it's quite important to take note of it in terms of if you're taking any type of supplements, you may want to, if you're as a woman, you may want to go towards a vitamin B1. And if you're a man, you may want to, seek out either vitamin B2. And then there's also the biological difference.
Dr. Keiron?
Decline.
Okay. We, we,
Yeah.
we lost you there for a bit.
Oh, okay. What was the last thing you heard?
I think you were talking about the defects.
The differences in the nutrient
Yes.
differences.
Yeah, the differences.
Right. So I said that there's research that shows that there's a lower risk in women compared to men with an intake of vitamin B1. So women who consume vitamin B1 is associated with a lower risk of cataracts, but that has not been observed in men, just women.
Okay.
And similarly, with men, a higher intake of vitamin B2 is associated with a lower risk. And that has been found to occur exclusively in men, but not in women. So there's still not much of an explanation in terms of what is the mechanism behind that, but
Mm,
that is something that has been observed. But that is only for those two vitamins. When it comes to all the other antioxidants, like a vitamin C, lutein, omega-3 fatty acids, they all have the similar reduced risk in both genders. So I was saying that is something to consider
consider.
when seeking out supplements. All right, so men should generally go towards a supplement containing vitamin B1, and men should seek out vitamin B2.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I mentioned the biological differences between men and women when it comes to cataracts. So this is the reason why the prevalence is actually higher in women compared to men.
Man.
It's to do with the estrogen levels, right? So in men, estrogen levels tend to be a lot more stable as they get older. Sometimes it even increases because as testosterone levels decline, testosterone actually converts to estrogen, so they tend to balance off each other. Whereas in women experience a significant decline in estrogen during menopause. So that actually increases their risk of not just cataracts, but actually other diseases like osteoporosis,
Mm.
vascular diseases as well. That's because estrogen actually has antioxidant properties. So because the oxidative stress is what causes the cataract formation, estrogen might actually have a protective effect. So there's been
For
studies
women.
show that hormone therapy in older women can actually have a protective effect as well against cataracts. Yeah, so that is a bit unfortunate. Right, so now looking at some of the nutrients. and mechanisms. So when it comes to nutrients, it's all about your antioxidants when it comes to eye health, because we want to reduce the amount of oxidative stress that's taking place. I mean, there's always going to be some level of oxidative stress, but you want to try to minimize it, maintain it as much as possible. So consuming foods that are highly rich in antioxidants, right? So your
Yeah.
vitamin C, vitamin E, your carotenoids, your lutein. So anything, so like this would be like your orange foods, orange fruits and vegetables. They play a role in reducing oxidative stress.
Right.
And your omega-3 fatty acids, right? They're both anti-inflammatory and antioxidant, right? So they can actually help to maintain the lens clarity. Then you have your B vitamins, right? They also help with cellular function. Then your vitamin A as well. As we know, carrots, we've heard from since we were children that carrots are good for your eyes. So that is one of the reasons, because they're rich in carotenoids. So in terms of dietary recommendations, so I've mentioned the benefits of having a plant-based diet, right? So it's more likely that you're going to have a higher intake of these protective nutrients if you eat predominantly plant-based foods, right? And you also have a lower intake of the harmful components in terms of the high oxidative foods, especially like your fried foods, your fried meats. You may want to tend to avoid that as much as you can. So I think I also just want to put a emphasis on having a balanced diet in terms of consuming all of the food groups. Possibly you'd want to consume more fruits and vegetables compared to the others, but the other food groups are also quite important since they also provide with essential nutrients, right? So your fruits and veg, your whole grains, lean proteins, even your plant-based sources of lean proteins, so like your legumes, for example, right? Consuming fat in moderation. And then specifically your leafy greens, colored fruits and vegetables. These will be where you would get your main sources of these antioxidant nutrients. Your fatty fish, as well as your nuts and your seeds.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I was saying that just before we go forward, I was going to ask if anyone has got any questions or anything they would like to clarify or to contribute to what Dr. Keiron has said so far. Any questions? Right, so Dr. Keiron, just talking before we come into the dietary patterns, I think just talking about
Well,
the
hello. I want to say something.
okay.
When you say oxidative stress, how do you? I didn't quite get that. Please, can you explain more on that?
Sure, no problem. So oxidative stress, it's essentially when you have a buildup of free radicals in the body. So free radicals are these unstable um, byproducts that come about as a result of certain foods that we intake. So for example, if you consume a lot of deep fried fatty foods, there are these unstable byproducts that actually form as a result of these foods breaking down in the body. And when they build up, because they're unstable, they actually cling on to certain proteins and fats, and they remove, because they're unstable, they remove electrons from these foods. So they make, from these proteins, so they make the proteins themselves unstable, and they're no longer able to carry out their function. So for example, as we're talking about cataracts, the proteins that are in the eye, these crystallines that actually maintain the transparency of the eye lens. They make sure that the eye lens remains transparent. That is its primary function. So when these proteins are affected, they're damaged by the oxidative stress, they can no longer, they start like, they lose their structure, they can no longer perform their function, and then they start clumping together. And when they all clump together, that's how they form that cloudiness around the eye. So oxidative stress is essentially harmful free radicals in the body that damage and destroy proteins, essential proteins and fats. I hope that is a bit clear.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
No problem.
Right. So I think the question I wanted to ask was, with the nutrients and mechanisms, are these sort of like the only nutrients that we need to focus on, as in just the antioxidant and the B vitamins, or are they all, and the vitamin A, are they other nutrients aside from this that we can focus on?
No, well, I mean, there's a range of other antioxidants, but these are some of the key ones in terms of the ones that are most potent and most
Okay.
readily available in our diets.
Okay.
So I think just consuming a range of different antioxidants, but these being some of the main ones that we can readily access.
Right. Okay, great. And now also with this nutrients that you've given to us, are these just nutrients to prevent you from having cataracts, or what are these also nutrients that you also need to focus on if someone already has the cataract, or if they've had the surgery and they're trying to recover, or it's just mainly just nutrients for just prevention?
Well, they can.
We've lost you, Dr. Keiron. If you can hear us, can't hear you again.
I think I'll, yeah, I think I lost you a bit there. So
Yeah.
you said, are these, so what you're saying, is it essentially preventative?
Yes, yes. Is this just preventative, or is this also preventative and maybe like such a like a healing process, or is that just it?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's usually when it comes to these types of degenerative diseases, in terms of treatment, it's usually quite difficult after when you pass a certain stage. Like if it's reached an advanced stage, it's usually quite difficult to apply like dietary treatment because it's usually
Right.
less. So it's generally, I would say generally more preventative. But at the same time, if you have undergone surgery to remove the cataracts, it will definitely play a good role in terms of preventing any further damage.
Okay.
So, I mean, it definitely won't hurt. You know, it can help to reduce the amount of oxidative stress that's going
Stress.
on.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wouldn't necessarily expect like a reversal of the damage that has already been done.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
And
especially
one
if,
question more. One question more.
Yes, yes, that's fine.
Yes. At what stage should somebody, go in for operation or choose for one's eye to be operated if you have a cataract? And are there side effects? I know there'll be side effects, but the degree.
yeah, I think if it's an advanced stage, if you reach a stage where the eye lens is like totally blocked and you can't really see anything, or it's like extremely blurred, you've lost the ability to like distinguish colors, if it's affecting your ability to just carry out your daily activities, then I think at that stage, is where people would generally tend to want to do this surgery.
Okay.
you know, especially if you don't have like that active support system. Yeah, I think that's generally when people recommend surgery. But you would want to speak to your, you know, your doctor,
Okay.
you know, eye
Okay.
doctor, just to get um that recommendation as well.
Okay. Thank you. And
No
side
problem.
effects? Side
Side,
effects?
all the side effects of the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that part I'm not entirely sure what the side effects might be.
Okay.
It may be a case where it's minimal. I think it would depend on the individual as well, but I think you could speak to the doctor and see what he says or what they say about it in particular.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
No problem at
Thank you,
all.
Dr. Keiron. Yeah. Has anybody got any other questions or anything they'd like to clarify? Okay.
Some messages in the chat.
No, I think they're the old messages. Right,
Okay.
yeah. So I think we can continue then.
Yeah, so just got one more slide here. So I covered this that in terms of the dietary patterns, recommendations, and then lastly, in terms of lifestyle factors, right? So as I always say, diet and exercise go hand in
Hand in
hand.
hand, yes.
Yeah, so that exercise regularly, it's a great way to reduce inflammation, also to rid some of these free radicals as well. You know, things like quitting smoking, right? So quitting smoking is also a significant, the amount of chemicals, toxic chemicals in cigarette smoke contributes significantly to oxidative stress as well, and the buildup of these free radicals, reducing your alcohol consumption as well. And also anything that relates to promoting inflammation, promoting oxidative stress, alcohol as well contributes significantly to that. And protecting your eyes from the sun. So I've heard some of these social media nutritionists actually telling people that they need to look up at the sun every morning. I don't know what benefit they think that has, but can actually severely harm your eyes to look directly at the sun. So you want to try to avoid that. You know, if you
Yeah.
can.
Because I think we've already clarified that at the beginning that that's one of the risk factors. So you want to be careful with that actually.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you can get some glasses with those transition lens that actually get darker as you go outside into the sun, that can be extremely helpful in terms of protecting your eyes from the sun.
Okay, right. So we've got some questions in the chat box. So someone's asking, how soon can the opticians pick this up? Like how soon can they pick up the cataract? That's someone
Well,
got it. Yeah.
well, yeah. So I think once they do the actual eye examination, they can see whether the cloudiness is starting to form, that opacification. So they would have to like, if I show you from the beginning slide, if they look, they that machine that they use where they look directly into your eyes, they can actually see whether it's starting to form. But you probably need to, at that stage, you would probably be exhibiting some symptoms, right? So if you feel like your vision is starting to get a bit blurry, if you find that your eyes are like extremely sensitive to like light and you go, then they should be able to pick it up at that stage.
Okay.
So the earlier the better. So I think that's why regular
Check
um
up.
are quite important, you know, so that they can
Right.
spot.
Okay, yeah, because I think we're having to do like an eye checkup is only it's usually most times just us when we already know we have like an issue with our eyes. I feel like that's the only time we ever get to do an eye checkup because to be honest, if I didn't have issues with my eyes, I don't think I'll be going to, I'll just randomly go to do an eye checkup. But I think that's a habit that we all need to sort of develop and keep up with our regular health
Absolutely.
checkups.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's the same with everything. It's the same with,
Mhm.
your teeth, we only really go to the dentist if we have a problem. Same with the eyes. So I think getting in the habit of doing these regular checkups, especially as we get older, especially as we're over 40, regular checkups, maybe like for your birthday every year, you just go and do a full check and make sure everything is working correctly. Same way that you would get your car checked out, you
Yeah.
tuned up. Should get in the habit of doing that with our bodies as well.
Okay. Right. So we've got another question. Someone's asking, why does eating meat increase your risk?
Right. So there's not, they're not quite sure what the mechanism behind it is, but there is some evidence to show that excess protein consumption can actually cause cataracts as well, or contribute to cataracts as well. I suspect it's because of these compounds here called the AGEs, right? So your advanced glycation end products.
Yeah.
So these can actually build up in the eye as well and contribute to that cloudiness. So
Mm,
these form when sugar molecules combine with protein molecules. That's how they actually form in in a simplified version. When proteins combine with sugar, they form these products here, these AGEs, and that can build up in the eye. So that can possibly be a mechanism behind it. But that doesn't say, you need to avoid proteins because
protein.
obviously
Yeah.
it's extremely important. But you may just want to manage your meat intake, you know.
Basically just reduce the amount of red meat that you're having. And just like we always say, having to choose like leaner cuts of meat rather than the fatty ones. I think everything still sort of just boils down to like the fat in the meat actually.
Absolutely, yeah. Just consumption in moderation. But everyone is different, and I am a strong advocate for personalized nutrition. So just
Yeah.
find that works best for you. If you go online, you would see an justification for almost every type of diet. You find there's some people that find benefits in having a carnivorous diet, depending on, their specific conditions, whether they have like a autoimmune disease or something, but if you have some form of history with eye diseases, you
Mhm.
may want to manage your meat consumption for this reason. So I think it all depends on the individual.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, that's okay. That's fine. So, with some of the nutrients that you put up, can you just run through like a couple of examples that we could have? Yeah, like with the vitamin C, like what foods exactly are we looking at for the lutein and the basically the carotenoids? What foods do we need to look out for?
Right. So in terms of lutein, well, the one animal product that is very rich in lutein would be eggs.
Hmm.
Egg
Okay.
person. Yeah, it's quite rich in lutein. In terms of fruits, your papaya, so your pawpaw
Hmm.
and oranges as well, also rich in lutein. Pumpkin as well.
Okay.
Grapes.
With the
Yeah,
pumpkin, does that also apply to the pumpkin seeds or just the fruit,
it will be just the fleshy
the
part of the
fleshy part of the fruit? Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, grapes as well. It's also rich in lutein, especially a green grapes.
Right, because I was going to ask, is there any particular type of the grapes or it's just all grapes?
Yeah, green grapes you tend to find more more lutein.
Okay.
Then your, yeah, I said your oranges, your citrus fruits, especially they would be particularly rich in your vitamin C as well.
Mm.
Yeah, your nuts and your seeds, they would be more towards your B vitamins. Yeah, then your vitamin A, they would be your also your orange fruits and vegetables. So like your carrots, pawpaw, pumpkins. Yeah, they would be particularly rich in those nutrients.
Okay.
So it's have a colorful diet.
Basically, colorful meal. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
colorful fruits and vegetables. There's also a lot of lutein in your greens as well. So your spinach, your kale, your broccoli, they're also quite rich in your in these antioxidants and a range of other antioxidants too. So there's a lot of like what they call phytonutrients.
Mm.
They also have a lot of antioxidant properties as well. So yeah, just keep it colorful, I would suggest.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Just I think basically it just goes back to what we always say on like these sessions. Try as much as possible to have your meals in moderation and then ensure you're having a wide variety of food and just keep it colorful, even with your vegetables. So for example, your colored bell peppers, um, getting a lot of carrots and sweet corns and greens and even your purple cabbage. I feel like a lot of people shy away from having to use the purple cabbage. So even with your purple cabbage, just make it a very colorful meal, and I'm sure you'll be racking up a lot of nutrients from the meals.
Very much so, yeah. Yeah, and the more vegetable, fruit and vegetables you eat is the less guilty you have to feel about when you actually do start eating meat, because there is benefits in your meat consumption as well. So I don't want to like demonize meat, because
Mhm.
all ready-made, easily digestible nutrients that you can get in lean cuts of meat,
Mm.
especially fish. I mean, fish is like your fatty fish is rich in these omega fatty acids, which is
Acids.
also
Yes. Yeah.
antioxidants as well. So an anti-inflammatory.
Okay, okay, that's good. That's good. Thank you so much. Right, so I'm just going to give a quick shout out to everyone who's joining us on today's session from far and from wide, um, from London or wherever you're joining us from. Thank you so much for joining today's session. We really, really look forward to seeing you on more of our Tuesday sessions. And also, while the session is still going on, we've got a few more minutes to end. So you can pop in your questions, any questions you want to ask, or if you've got any topic that you feel like we could talk about any Tuesday, anything you need clarification on, we can always come back and have a full topic on that. So you can always just send us that message or just pop it into the chat box. Right. So Dr. Keiron, what exactly is the mechanism? Because I know you mentioned smoking as a risk factor, and when you were talking about dietary patterns, you said we need to limit our alcohol intake. So what exactly is the mechanism with the alcohol and smoking? How does that actually affect the cataracts?
So in general, smoking, alcohol consumption, they cause considerable amount of inflammation in the body, right? So that inflammation itself, that inflammatory process, that can actually contribute to the production of free radicals.
The oxidative stress once again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these reactions, they release byproducts, and these harmful byproducts can actually go on to damage the proteins that I mentioned, the crystalline proteins in the eye. So this is like long-term,
Mm,
over a long period of time, if you continue
time.
to smoke, continuously drink, they can slowly but surely build up and contribute to these effects. Because it's not just like a one-time thing,
And
this is
yeah.
over years and years and years. And eventually by the time they start forming, it's usually like, you know, mid to close to advanced stage when in terms of like its effects. So you want to try to nip it in the bud.
Nip it in bud immediately. Okay, right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that clarification. Right. So someone's also asking, does family history increase the possibility to develop cataracts? You know how with there's certain diseases that we say, oh, family history. So with cataracts, does that happen?
I believe so. I believe so. I mean, it's not as pronounced as other conditions, but I also believe if you do have it in your family, then it's likely to be some form of genetic risk, and these genes can be triggered by our environment as well, so they can like switch on depending on the type of lifestyle. Because some genes can, in a sense, remain dormant. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to cause disease, but depending on our environment, our lifestyle, they can be triggered and they can contribute as well. So yeah, I would definitely pay attention to it if there is some form of cataracts in the family, especially if it's like from a parent.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine then. Thank you so much for that clarification. Has anybody got any other questions? Any other questions? Any other clarification before we round up and hand over to Orlando?
Yes, for exercise segment.
Yes, is really key. Regular exercise, very, very key.
Absolutely.
Okay, Dr. Keiron, can you give us last few words?
Well, like we mentioned, I think it's very important to start to pay attention to our health and to start getting regular checkups, right? Not just our eyes, but also all our entire body, our entire physical makeup. We start, doing regular annual, biannual checkups just to make sure that everything is good. Pay attention to our family history. There are these particular conditions in our family and we may be more likely to develop them. And also to try and manage any conditions that you already do have. So for example, if you suffer from diabetes, make sure
Yeah.
you pay attention to its management. You do your treatment, you do your dietary and lifestyle changes that are necessary because they can actually increase your risk of other conditions as well. Okay, so if you're diabetic, if you have hypertension, just pay attention, manage it so that you don't make things worse and you don't develop any further conditions as well.
Conditions.
Yeah, so don't just, rely on medication, also make changes to your diet and your lifestyle as well. Incorporate the exercise and a healthy diet, healthy anti-inflammatory diet. Yeah.
No problem then. Thank you so much, Dr. Keiron. It was really brilliant session. We got a lot of information. Okay, I think just one last question. So Martha's asking, how is cataract similar to glaucoma? Is it similar?
So not necessarily, no. Glaucoma is more related to the pressure, the eye pressure in the blood vessels. So what they call the intraocular pressure. So you could think of it as high blood pressure in your eye. So when you have high blood pressure, that is actually what causes glaucoma. So it's not necessarily the lens itself. It's more the blood vessels in the eye that causes glaucoma. So I think that's the main difference. But they both can obscure your vision. I think that's the only similarity really. And they both link to diabetes. That's another similarity as well. So diabetes can increase the risk of both of them. But in terms of its cause, this is more linked to pressure due to restricting blood vessels in the eye, as opposed to cloudiness.
Cloudiness, right. Thank you very much for that beautiful session. Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure. Thank you very much.
We hope to see you next time, some other time. I will be handing over to Orlando now. Orlando, please let's not forget to stay back for a bit of a physical activity.
Thank you, and hello and welcome on this rainy evening. Hope everybody will stay on for tonight's fitness session, which will be a boxer size session. For tonight's session, all you'll need is your space, plenty of water, and a good fighting attitude. Yeah, just going back on spotlight. Let's see. So people, let me turn my tunes up and let's begin our workout with a warm up. Okay, to start off with, we're going to shadow skip on the spot for 30 seconds. If you do have skipping ropes and the space, feel free to bring those in right now. If not, you can shadow skip like me. Okay, let me turn my tunes up. Okay, let's get ready in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Shadow skip. If you could just put me on spotlight again, please. 10 seconds, people. Keep going. There we go. Keep going, people. 2, 1, let's go straight. 'Keep it going, my people. 3, 2, 1, let's go, hooks. 'Keep that going, people. Get those hooks going. Okay, let's go low now, low hooks. 3, 2, 1. Okay, take a 15-second break, people. Quick 15 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're back into our warm-up, people. We're going to start off with high knees. Let's go. Alternate high knees. Let's go. 'Okay, after now, let's go. Crisscross. 2, 1. Let's go side steps. Keep going, people. 2. Last one now, uppercuts. Let's go. Got my tuned out. Keep going, people. Checking for an extra. I'm not one way. You only got me. Tell me what you want from me. She love me, I let me, Let's go, people. 3, 2, 1. Okay, people, take a quick 20-second water break and then join me for round number 1. Well done. Okay, people, join me in the ring now. Let's get into round number 1. All right, so to start off with, we have a combination round, okay? So we have full 3-minute boxing rounds, and this one is going to be split into 3, okay? So we're going to add to the combination every minute. All right, so nice and easy to start off with. We're just going to be in our guards. So we're here, okay, nice and balanced, nice and balanced. And we're just going to throw out 4 straights, okay? So that's a jab, cross, nice and strong. So we're here, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't do too many in the same place. Once you've hit one place, then move yourself around your living room or wherever you are. And again, go for 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then move around again, okay? After 60 seconds, we're going to add to the combination. All right, people, round 1. Let's go now. Turn my tunes up. Game time. Let's get ready now. 4 straights. Let's go. In 3, 2, 1, go. You not going people halfway now. 4 straight, nice and hard. Come on. 20 seconds to go. Last 10. Okay, pause the clock there. Okay, now let's add to it now. So we're going to add 2 uppercuts starting with the left. So we're going to go here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Dip down, uncoil, dip down, uncoil. Nice and strong. Okay, so 4 straights, 2 uppercuts in 3, 2, 1. Put that together now, people. Let's go. Let's go, people. 20 seconds gone. Come on. Twenty seconds to go. Come on. 10 seconds. Okay, pause the clock. Okay, our last edition now. Okay, so after that last uppercut, I need a left hook. So watch the whole move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom. Finish there. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Put it all together now. Let's go. Boom. Oh, let's go, people. Let's go, people. 20 seconds done.
I need to put my shot.
20 seconds to go, people. Come on. 10 seconds. Time, people. Well done. Take a 30-second water break and join me for round number 2. Well done. Okay, people. Flying back into the ring. Join me for round number 2. Okay. Next, we have a pyramid round. Okay. So again, we're going to split this into 3. So for the first minute, we're going to work the levels. Okay. So we're going to start at the top. So above the head, 1, 2. Then face, 1, 2. Then stomach, 1, 2. Then we're going to add 2 on. So now we go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 to your face. 1, 2, 3, 4 to your body. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going to work that. Try and get up to 20 if you can. Okay, if you've got the cardio, work it right up to 20. And then start from 2 again. So 2, 2, 2. Okay, second round will be hooks. Third round will be uppercuts. Okay, we'll concentrate on the first round. Okay, just straight. So above the head, to the face, to the body. Remember, when we box, we're boxing a mirror image of ourselves. Okay, so when we do a straight, we don't want it here or here. We're missing. Okay, it's right to the face. So as I can see myself now on Zoom, my face will be here. So I'm going to go above the head, to my face, to my body. Okay, first minute, people. Let's get ready now. Let me turn my Tues up. Get ready now. We're starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Work through the levels. 2, 2, 2. Come on. Go by 2 every time. 4. Keep that going, people. Keep going up by 2 every single time now. Come on. Ten seconds, people. Keep working for it. 2, 1. Okay, next one now. Hooks. So we're gonna go up, high, face, body. Okay, start with 2. Work your way up in 2s. Go. Now 4. Then we go 6. I didn't want to hand up on a free. Maybe if you work hard, you could be. I'm alright to be activated. Keep working, people. Halfway. Keep going through the numbers. I'm only getting stronger. 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 if you can. Come on. 20 seconds. Now every show of the shit is up. New life I'm adjusting to. 10 seconds. 2, 1. Okay, now we go to uppercuts. Just 2 levels here. So face, low. Okay, face, low. 2, 2, 4, 4, and then keep going up. 3, 2, 1. Let's finish the round now, people. 2. Keep going, people. Keep working. Halfway now, the people. Come on. Come on, people. 20 seconds to go. Keep working through levels now. 10 seconds. 2, 1, on time, people. Now rest for 40 seconds. Take on some water and join me for our final round. Well done. Okay, people, join me for our final round now, people. All right, so now we're going to go to the legs now, okay, leg round. And this round is going to be split into 30-second segments. All right, so we're going to start off in our guard here. We have straight, as quick as you can. So we're not looking for power here now. We're looking for speed, okay? So throwing that shoulder, throwing that arm out as quick as you can for 30 seconds. Then we've got 30 seconds of squat pulses here. So just short bounces up and down. Okay, we'll feel like nice burn in the quads. Just bounce there for 30 seconds. Okay, second round we have hooks, hooks. And then we're going to go side lunges here. Side lunges. And the third round will be uppercuts, and we'll go reverse lunges. So we're going to go here. So we're hitting the leg at different angles. We're hitting the lower body at different angles, okay? So we start off with straight, 30 seconds, and then we've got short squat bounces for 30 seconds. All right, people, let's get into the round now. Come on. Let's go. Let's get ready now, people. We're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Let's get started now. Start with your straights. Let's go, people. 15 seconds. Keep working it. Three, 2, 1. Squat bounces now. Come on. Keep going, people. Keep bouncing now. 10 seconds. Okay, stand back up. Let's go hooks now. Go. Nice and quick. Yeah. Let's go, people. Go. 10 seconds. Okay, side lunges now, people. Let's go. 30 seconds. $15 seconds. Two, one, let's go. Uppercuts now. Come on. Last minute now. Come on. Let's go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Reverse lunges now. Come on. $15 seconds. 3, 2, 1. On time, people. Well done. Take 30 seconds. Have some water, and then we're going to stretch off. Well done. Okay, people, join me back in your spaces. Let's stretch the body off now. Start with the neck. We're going to go up and back. Let's go. Let's go side to side. Okay, arms out. In and out. Let's go. Open the chest up. Open the back up. Okay, to the hips. Let's go. Rotations. Change direction now. Front to back. Okay, high knees, alternate high knees. Let's go down to the floor now. Try and touch your toes. Go nice and slow. Shake it all up. And that's time, folks. Well done, people. Well done. People, feel free to unmute yourselves. Do you have any questions or we have any comments? today of anybody here? Or feel free to type it in the chat box as well. Nobody today. All right, people, well done for everyone that took part today. Whether that was over Zoom, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Okay. We'll be back again next week, 6:30 till 8 p.m. Our first hour is reserved for our seminar. Followed by a 30-minute fitness session. But until then, people, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you next week. Well done. Peace.